Hi, I'm Rick Anthony, and welcome to the Someone You Should Know podcast, the podcast that focuses on musicians, authors, and interesting people. We like to say we're making a difference one artist at a time. So sit back, have a cold one, and get ready to meet someone you should know. Now, my podcast guest today is living the dream that I started also. And he's using modern technology, so you actually have the opportunity to hear what he does. He's a well-connected guy, and I know he and I are going to have some fun on the show today. Will you please welcome my friend, Kayden Gordon? How you doing, buddy?
I am doing excellent. Thank you so much for having me.
I really and truly have been enjoying your shows. The enthusiasm that you have really reminds me of me when I was back in those days. Can I ask how old you are?
I am 18.
18.
I will be 19 in February.
You know something? This is exactly where it was when I was like 13 or 14. My dear friend Darren and I would get together like on Friday nights. We'd grab the WLS list of the top songs, and my rule was I'd always buy whatever made it into the top 10 that week, whether I liked it or not. It was just something so we could spin it, and then we would do a lot of just, I guess you would say, improv stuff. You know, look at the newspaper and start talking about this, that, and the other. And he would have it was a corded intercom in the other room, and he would be doing my call-ins and stuff like that. So it's just really, really cool. So what you're doing here on this level is really professional. Sounds really a lot of fun, and I know you're having a lot of fun with it. When did your love affair with radio begin, Kayden?
So it really started by, honestly, just, always having the radio on, particularly country radio. And I really liked listening to Country 102.5, which is a station in Boston, Massachusetts. And I've always loved calling into the DJs and requesting a song. And, it always made me wonder, how do I get started in this? So I started doing a little bit of research at the age of 14, and I happened to come across the radio group. It was called Online Radio Stations. It was through Facebook at the time.
Okay.
And so I connected, I joined the group and happened to talk with some people and said, I have no experience, but I am ready and willing to learn. And, I had one person take me on, and then from there, I found my current producer who's helps me with the show, John Graham, out of Indiana. I'm in Massachusetts, he's in Indiana, so that's been kind of cool to, have a producer in another state, but it works with the modern technology. And so after I met John, he told me what kind of equipment I needed and really took me under his wing. And from there, I just started really, learning how to do it. And from there, everybody just loved my personality. And one station and then another station just started asking, hey, can we air your show? I was doing live stuff for a very long time, about a year or so. But once COVID started, I spent a lot of time, making my craft and turning it into something that I never would thought get this big, with independent artists and doing this whole big fun show. And I never thought that I would be on over 150 stations all over the world, in the United Kingdom, in South Africa, and Australia, and Canada. I am just mind blown by the fact that it has grown so rapidly and so fast in the past 5 years.
I'm very proud of you, too, because you've really got the enthusiasm. That's the one thing you have to have in this business. You've got to have tenacity, and you've got to have the you can't tell me no type thing. You've got the drive, and that is it. That's gonna carry you all the way. I'm not saying you're going to make Stern numbers, but I really think you have exactly what I had, because that's all I ever wanted to do, was to be an announcer. So, and that's it. Here I am 45 years later or so, and I'm still loving it, and it's just so much fun to do this craft. And you're at the beginning of your career. I'm kind of wrapping up my career and everything like that. I got to ask you, who were some of your favorite DJs you used to listen to?
That's a good question. And the answer to that would be, one of them I really enjoyed, Carolyn Cruz, who still does middays to this day on Country 102.5. She's always been a favorite, and we're still very close friends. Another one who is also a country singer and does the mornings is Ayla Brown, which is another one of my favorites. Those are two of my favorites that I absolutely love.
Oh, very good, very good. Now, the show is called The Kayden Gordon Show, today's best country mix. When did it launch? When did you first kick this thing off, and how did it all come to be?
So we started the Kayden Gordon Show, today's best country mix, in 2019, October. I don't remember the date, but it was October 2019 was when we first started the Kayden Gordon Show, today's best country mix. And we started out live. And I started out on literally just one station. And then from there, I started, getting interest. And then it went from 1 to 2 to 3 to 5 to 10 to 20. And then from there, all the way up until over 150 now.
Wow. That is impressive. Very, very good. Now, being a country music fan, you obviously have some country artists that I'm sure you like. Is there some that you really and truly like? You like the more traditional country, or you like the more modern country?
I would have to say a little bit of both.
Okay.
More of the modern country. I love the songs that tell a story.
Okay.
That is absolutely my favorite type of song, when it tells a story. Because, whether it's a sad story or a happy, fun going story, it really makes you feel something. It's really, really emotional, and honestly, that's what music is all about, to talk about your emotions, and one really, really good way to express yourself as an individual.
Mm-hmm. Any particular country artists you really like?
My favorite country artist, I would have to say, is probably Luke Bryan. Mm-hmm. If we're going to choose somebody that's like mainstream. Okay. If we're going to go to somebody that I've worked with or that I've interviewed in the independent realm. Okay. That's hard. I love a lot of people, but there's a few people that come to mind. One of them being a wonderful Western swing artist named Eric Diamond. Okay. One of them that is doing excellent stuff right now with the Elvis Presley musicians. Now, I know, coming from an 18-year-old, that's surprising, but his stuff, John Cronus's stuff, is really good. All right. Even though I wasn't really brought up with Elvis, but I got introduced to him, and I really like his stuff too. So those are probably, the two that come to mind when it comes to my favorite artists. Very good, Kate. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put a link down in the show notes for listeners to check it out when they do tune in to the Kayden Gordon Show, today's best country mix. What are they gonna hear? Give me an example of what the show kind of sounds like. So we do a lot of different types of country music and a mix of different stuff. We do, like I just mentioned, like independent artists. We do, some mainstream. We put a little bit of that kind of stuff in there. We do interviews also. We have a lot of guests that come on, like you do, Rick, from artists. We've had actors on. We've had Parmalee on the show. We've had Rain Johnson on the show. We've had Reagan Reverd, who plays Missy in the iconic CBS show Young Sheldon. We've had a lot of people on. We've had Havon Flores, who plays a Nickelodeon show, Danger Force. We've had a lot of people on the show. We've had so many people. And again, going back to what I was saying earlier, I never thought in a million years I would do that. But it's all about just me keeping perseverance and keep on going and not taking no for an answer. I really love this kid because he's 18 and he's doing exactly what I was doing at in my mid 30s. Okay. So he's really got a hell of a career going his way. I was lucky. I was with the All-Star Radio Network, Kayden, and one of the things I got to do was interview all the celebrities. And it's funny. And this whole show actually stemmed from my wife. We watch TV and I'd say I talked to him, I talked to her, whatever like that. And she'd be kind of dumbfounded, and would listen to the radio, and she says, "You got to write a book." And I said, "No, I can't write a book." And she says, "Well, then do a podcast." And I said, "Well, okay, I used to do this show. Maybe I could just do this." And this is where this show is right now, as far as that goes. It's just from the people that I've interviewed. Now, I think altogether, it's got to be well over 5,000 people I've interviewed. And you are already on your way, and it's really kind of blowing my mind. It's so cool that you're doing this. Kayden has had quite a few honors, including being featured in Nashville Country Music Magazine. What are you most proud of so far on your show, Kayden? What would you say is your high water mark, something that I can't believe I did that type thing? If you were to ask me this a couple years ago, the answer would be different. Mm-hmm. But I did just get something super exciting in the mail today.
Okay, what's that?
I got a award for Best Radio Show Station of the Year for the whole United States for the Red Carpet Award Show in Holland, and it just came in the mail today from the Netherlands.
I salute you. I salute you.
Thank you
Prost.
so much.
How's it going?
So I just happened to get that today, and I'm very happy you asked that. Because that was definitely something I'm most proud of.
Awesome.
If you would have asked me that before I even knew anything about this award, I probably would have said something different.
That's
but
amazing,
since
buddy.
I got that award today, I'm going to mention that.
Very good. I'm proud of you, buddy. I'm really proud of you. Nice going there. Now, before we continue with our podcast with Kayden Gordon, I'd like to thank you for tuning into the Someone You Should Know podcast. We're located on the web at someoneyoushouldknowpodcast.com. There you're going to find our recent episodes, our archive of past episodes, and a whole lot more. And if you happen to be visiting, we invite you to go on out on the bottom of the first page and leave us a review. We do appreciate that. It helps us out big time. Now, according to Buzzsprout, the service that shares us to all the different streaming platforms around the world, we're very, very blessed to reach over 1,800 cities in 85 countries. We'll salute a couple of those today. Covington, Kentucky, thanks for tuning in. Also, Clearwater, Florida, and Queensland, New Zealand. The Kiwis down there, hello, and happy holidays to you down under. The Someone You Should Know podcast is heard wherever quality streaming audio is available. Thank you so much for listening. And now back to our interview with Kayden Gordon. I got to ask you, who does your jingles? The jingles are crazy. I love them.
That's a good question. No one has asked me that question. I love my guy that does them. His name is Michael, and he is through Micro Jingles, MICRO Jingles. That is who does my absolute amazing jingles. I found him just happened to be scrolling through Fiverr and found him, and I was immediately blown away. And when he agreed to work with me, I was super excited because he was very, very reasonable with his prices and does quality work.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
He goes above and beyond. So, and again, you can't beat his prices. He does great work for a great price. So if anybody's looking, I recommend him.
Awesome. Very good. Now, you've had a lot of guests on your show. I really am kind of blown away with all the people that you've had on the show. You, too, are reaching out to the independent artists, which is really great. And the reason why I say that is these people are trying so damn hard to get their craft out there, and they're just not falling into the right ears of Nashville or wherever it might be. Mm-hmm. I really love what you're doing because it's exactly what I'm doing. And it's just giving these people a platform to get people to hear them. What's been some of your favorite moments so far during your interviews?
Well, I had this one guest. I remember this story very well. It was actually with my good friend, Robbie Hart. And Robbie and I were talking, and she was telling me that she just got back from a gig. I think she was in London or something. I don't remember. But she was telling me that she was a little bit panicked because the airport security actually lost her guitar, and they were supposed to be delivering it to her house or something during the interview, and she was very, very nervous that they were going to come knocking at her door while we were doing the interview.
Oh, geez, yeah.
And so she was trying to make sure that her dog wasn't going nuts and everything. That was probably one of my favorite moments with her on doing that interview. I remember that one very clearly. That's one of my favorite funny moments probably on the show. Very
good. I really like that. One of the key things that I've learned when you interview a guest is try to find a common bond with them. I'll never forget, I had Aaron Tippin on the show, and we were supposed to promote his new single that had just come out. Actually, it was a new album that just came out. And we started talking, and I happened to be a pilot, and Aaron happens to be a pilot too. And I said, Aaron, so how you like flying the SR-20, the brand new Cirrus? And he goes, how do you know about that? I says, well, it's in my recent copy of AOPA, which is the Airline Owners and Pilots Association magazine. And we talked for 15 minutes about flying. And it got to a point where it's like, hey, I think we need to actually promote the song, or else your record company is going to get PO'd at me. But I've always learned is try to find a common bond with the people that you're interviewing. Just try to find that commonality type thing. And you'll find that because, 18, it's kind of hard to have a common bond, but it is one of the things that's always worked the best for me is just put your your guests at ease by doing that. Now, you got a new feature, Kayden, called the Country Minute with Kayden Gordon. It's a new feature that you've added, a 1-minute feature that's part of your syndicated program. Can you tell us a little bit about this new feature?
Sure. So this is just kind of covering, we'll talk about any upcoming news with the country industry in itself or the music industry. And that's pretty much, we just take a minute to talk about that. Nothing super dramatic. We just take a minute and we talk about the upcoming stuff. So I think it works really, really well with the syndicated show because, again, I've learned very, very fast that people's tendencies are not the greatest. So when we do interviews, I try to cut them down to like a very simplified part of the interview so people, stay tuned and actually want to listen further. And I try to make it interesting, like you just mentioned, Rick. I think it's all about making that bond because, you just got to build a really, really good bond. And the interview will just come natural to you when you do that. Because if you find something within common interest, it's not like you're talking like, hi, this is blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And welcome to the show. Like you got to have fun with it. You can't sound broad with it.
Yeah, that's just it. You actually just talk to one person too, and that's the most important thing too. That's one thing we always taught. One of the first days of broadcasting school that I had was you take out a photo of your friend. In my case, it was my girlfriend at the time, and I would put it on my control board, and I would talk to her. And it was just that's how you got started. As far as you just narrow it down to one. People don't say all you guys or all you gals or whatever like that. Hey people out there type thing. No, it just you got to have that one-to-one connection, especially with your guests as well too. What kind of plans you got for 2024 for the show? Any new things you're going to be adding this year?
With the show, we are, hoping to, get on more radio stations. That's one of the goals. We're looking to hopefully maybe break 200 stations. I don't want to get too crazy, but yeah. So with the show, we are just super excited to see where things go. And in 2024, we hope to, hopefully, get more recognition, more listeners, more fans, and, get more people to just, keep on sharing and keep on getting some great indie music sent to me. Because there are some people out there that do some amazing stuff. Like it sounds really, really good. And they don't get to get here. So my hope is that we get more indie music and support those who might not have a big following or might not have a record label behind them that is pushing money, and trying to get them the best support and exposure as we can.
Absolutely. Go see live music too. That's a key thing too, because just because they're on Spotify doesn't mean they're making any money. I mean, I think Snoop Dogg had 2 million hits on one of his songs. He says, should I be making at least $1 million on that? How come I'm only making like a couple $100? So,
well, here's the problem. Yeah. Spotify only gives you like 0.003. It is not even a penny you get on those streams. Yeah, it's just, and I think that is absolutely bonkers. I don't think that that's right. I feel like that should be more compensation.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially for those
absolutely. I'm a high, and that's just it. But the thing that you can do is if you happen to see some of these bands touring the local area, they're not going to cost you $1,200 to see like Taylor Swift. It might cost you $10 or $5 or something like that. Go see them. Support local music. That's been my big mantra for years. There's a lot of great music out there if you're looking, and that's just it too.
Right.
All right. When you are not on the radio, what do you do? I mean, what do you like to do when you have some free time, if you ever have any free time?
A lot of people ask, like, how do you even sleep with everything that I do? And the answer to that is I like to spend time with my dog. I have a golden doodle. He just turned 10 in August. So I like spending time with him. I like, watching TV, just listening to music, going for walks, spending time outside. That kind of stuff, taking walks and, exploring, traveling. I just went to Nashville for the first time in July. So that was such an experience. I'm ready to go back. The one thing I wish that it didn't happen like the whole time I was, doing my trip, is that it rained.
Geez, really?
It rained
wow. Yeah.
the whole time. And so it was really hard to really do we found some stuff inside to do, but it was such an awesome opportunity. I had an opportunity to go to Nashville. I went through Indiana, We went to Alabama. We actually, it was almost like a radio tour, to be honest, because we were on an FM station out. I was on an FM station out in Nashville while I was out there, and I was on an FM station in Huntsville, Alabama, while I was out there. So I did a radio tour at the same time for my first time. So it was such an awesome opportunity. And then I had a chance to visit Atlanta for the International Singer-Songwriter Association. I made it all the way to the finalists for that. I was, I think there was like 5 other people. So I'm very honored for that.
Very
and
good.
What an absolute opportunity. Great networking, great people. Tammany Dove did an absolute incredible job setting everything up from a red carpet. She had media there. She had the news there. I had an opportunity to talk with some people up at Atlanta, and it was such a great time. And I think there was, oh my God, I think 25 different countries of people were there.
Wow, nice.
It was everywhere. New Zealand, Malaysia, United Kingdom, you name it. I got to meet so many people that, I've been friends with for a while, disc jockeys. I met a really good friend of mine that does a show out in the UK that is a DJ. And without that, we probably would have never met in person.
I understand.
So it's really cool.
That's really cool. When you were in Nashville, did you get a chance to go to the Grand Ole Opry?
I did not have a chance to go to the Grand Ole Opry, unfortunately. That time, I did see it. I did not get to go inside, but we did stop and see it outside. That's kind of a lie. I did actually get to see it.
That is one thing. If you get a chance to go ahead and get the tour at the Ryman, that is, it's almost life-changing, because you just get the vibe, you get the feel of all of the amazing talent that have been on that stage. And it is just very, very, very special. It's just one of those moments where it makes no difference to what type of music you like. It's just, it's called the Mother Church, and it's exactly the way it feels. When you walk in there, it's like you're waiting to hear angels singing. It's just something very. Now, everyone wants to follow you. What's some good social media links that we can go ahead and post out in the show notes so everyone listening can follow Kayden Gordon and your show?
Sure. So people can find me on all the social platforms, Facebook, Twitter. Actually, sorry, it's X now. I keep calling it Twitter. I know. They changed it to X. Instagram, you can find me, The Kayden Gordon Show, Today's Best Country Mix, or the.Kayden Gordon Show on Instagram. Or you can find my personal page, Kayden Gordon, on Facebook, Kayden Show on Twitter, and then Kayden, I think it's Kayden Gordon 05 on Instagram. I'd have to double check that. I believe it's Kayden Gordon 05, something like that.
We'll have it in the show notes. So if you're driving right now and going, what was the last one? What was the last one, Rick? It'll be down in the show notes. So wait till you get to work and then go ahead and look at the show notes. And that way you can follow him. Any final thoughts there, Kayden, that we should know about you that we don't already know?
Yeah, so there's actually 2 things I'd like to mention. First, I am a promoter. I am working with over 100 artists right now, which is great. But, some of it I just do distribution too. So, some of it we just get songs, we send to radio, that's it. Some people I'm helping book interviews with people like yourself. Some people I am helping, get gigs and stuff like that. So if anybody's interested in that, we have that under my promotion company, KJG Media and Promotions. So if anybody wants to reach out to that. Also, my email, if people want to email me, whether that to be a question or an interview idea or request or anything like that, promotion, if you're an artist or a business looking out there to sponsor, you can always email Kayden, Kayden, at the Kayden, Kayden, Gordon, Gordon show.com. And my website, that's the other thing too, the KaydenGordonShow.com. And one more thing.
Okay.
If people want to learn something new about me, I'm also a songwriter, and not many people actually know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I have written a few songs, one of them being called, my recent one that I did with Bob McGilpin, called Achieving is Succeeding. And that's all about, because as you know, I'm 18, so I recently just graduated high school and started my bachelor's degree in college at Worcester State University. So that is what I do on my other time too. I'm going to college at Worcester State for my bachelor's in communications. But that song was really about high school. And, juggling high school and doing the show and all that, and, making good grades. And it's such a great song. I love that one very, very much. I have another one that's called Focus that was sang by Nouveau Coke. That I really enjoyed because it's all about focusing on your dreams and stuff like that. And we will have more music coming in January. And the other one that's out too is called Night Out, which we had a lot of fun writing that one. That one is a personal favorite of mine. And that one's with Anne-Marie Paserno and Bob McGilpin. So that is another thing that I forgot to mention.
I love this guy. I love this guy because he is me many, many years ago. He's just got the energy. He's got everything that I was back in that day, except he's now got it's just changed. I was doing this back in 1978, and he's doing it here. I don't know how many years later. It's just a long time, 40, 45 years later, thanks to all the modern technology, he's able to do all these cool things. If you are an artist and you're looking for some representation, get a hold of Kayden, okay? I know there's so many listening right now going, I just want to take the next step. Get a hold of Kayden, okay? And I'll give you the information down in the show notes, once again, to reach out to him. And man, this has been a real fun time, Kayden. I hope you had fun doing this today.
I sure did. Thank you so much for your time. I had a blast.
Hi, this is Rick Anthony, thanking you again for listening to this episode of Someone You Should Know. Now, if you're an aspiring musician or an established musician that's looking for a little exposure, I invite you to drop us a line at someoneyoushouldknowpodcast@gmail.com. That's someoneyoushouldknowpodcast@gmail.com. Also, I invite you to tell a friend about the Someone You Should Know podcast. I thank you for tuning in this time, and I invite you to check us out next time on the Someone You Should Know podcast, because you never know who's going to show up. Until next time, remember, God loves you, and so do I.